Have you ever wondered if your carry-on luggage could get rejected, even though it was perfectly fine just last week? Well, get ready, because former President Donald Trump has put forward a series of new regulations that could completely change the way we travel within the United States. Let's dive right into the first three major changes that would impact every single traveler. And trust me, these aren't just small policy tweaks. We're talking about a total shakeup in airport security, allowed baggage, and even the very idea of privacy when you travel. We'll reveal not only the new rules, but also the hidden secrets that airlines don't want you to know. First, the technology visibility mandate. Under the new rules proposed by Trump, every electronic device larger than a smartphone would have to be carried in a clear, see-through case. This requirement would apply at every airport across the country. And yes, it would be mandatory. The official reason? National security. But as you might guess, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. So, what does this mean for you in real life? This isn't just about letting agents see what you're carrying. It's about allowing them to quickly scan serial numbers and other identifying information on your devices right on the spot. In other words, it's an extended form of surveillance traveling right inside your luggage. Here's what you need to do. First, get TSA-approved clear cases for your laptop, tablet, and any other large devices you plan to bring. Whenever possible, choose models that include built-in privacy filters. That way, you can protect your screen from prying eyes while still following the new rules. And don't forget, take photos of all your devices before you travel, making sure to capture the serial numbers too. If anything gets confiscated or misplaced, these photos could be your lifesaver, serving as proof of ownership. Here's a little-known fact. There's a special exemption for VIP travelers and government officials. They wouldn't have to follow this rule at all. Yep, it's one of those hidden clauses that could make security lines even more unequal. Second, the America First ban on foreign products. This might just be the most controversial change of them all. According to Trump's proposal, travelers will be banned from carrying any items made in certain countries that are seen as strategic competitors to the United States. On the blacklist, China, Russia, Iran, and Venezuela, just to name a few. The official goal? Economic security. But in reality, it would likely turn airport checkpoints into total chaos, with everyday items being confiscated on the spot without any warning. Items that could get you into trouble include smartphones, headphones, portable chargers, cosmetics and toiletries. Here's your action plan. Before you travel, check every one of your tech devices. Look for the manufacturing label. It's usually printed in tiny letters somewhere on the back or bottom. If anything you're carrying was made in one of the restricted countries, you'll have two choices. Either check it into your checked luggage or leave it behind. The smartest move right now? Start shifting toward products that clearly say they're made in the United States. It might cost a little more, but it could save you a huge headache at security. Does all of this sound extreme? Well, hold on tight. The third change not only affects your wallet, but also completely redefines the way you pack your suitcase. Third, the new hand luggage weight redistribution tax. Forget the idea that weight restrictions only apply to checked bags. With this new policy, the weight of your carry-on will be strictly measured at every security checkpoint. The limit? 15 pounds. Go over that limit, and you'll be slapped with a tax. And the cost? Up to $10 for every single pound over the limit. Why this new measure? Airlines say it's to speed up boarding and improve safety. But if you read between the lines, it's really about creating a huge new source of income, and it's everyday travelers, especially budget-conscious ones, who would feel the most. Here's how you can dodge this extra tax. First, invest in ultralight luggage. Those heavy, fancy suitcases might look nice, but they'll work against you under these new rules. Second, wear your heaviest clothes when you board. That cozy jacket or pair of sturdy boots you love. Put them on. Clothing you wear doesn't count toward your carry-on weight. And here's an insider tip. Passengers flying in business or first class will be completely exempt from this weight tax. Yep, another little perk for those willing to pay more. Fourth, the Patriotic Luggage Declaration. This next change has already set off alarms among civil rights advocates and frequent travelers alike. The The new proposal would introduce a mandatory pre-boarding declaration, where every passenger must sign a document stating that the contents of their carry-on bag reflect American values and are free of any unlawful intentions. So what exactly is this patriotic declaration? It's a new legal form that you'd be required to complete before even reaching security checkpoint. And what's most concerning isn't just that it's mandatory. It's the fact that this declaration would create a legal basis for searches, confiscations, and even interrogations. Especially authorities decide your belongings seem ideologically conflicting or culturally suspicious. But what are they really looking for? Beyond claiming it's about safety, this move would create a permanent legal trail, allowing actions against travelers without the need for a formal warrant. It opens the door to highly subjective judgments based on someone's sense of morality, political leanings, or cultural background. What can you do to stay informed and protected? First, take clear photos of the inside of your luggage before closing it. Make sure every item is visible. If you're ever accused of carrying something suspicious, having these photos can make all the difference. Second, avoid packing anything that could be seen as ideologically sensitive. That includes political books, flags, T-shirts with strong messages, or even religious items, depending on the situation. And remember, if you refuse to sign the declaration, you simply will not be allowed to fly. No exceptions, no appeals. This system would also lead to a new type of passenger profiling, not just based on security risks or behavior, but based on perceived ideological alignment. Just when you thought airport checks couldn't get any more personal. Fifth, the biometric baggage link. This next change is perhaps the most high-tech and the most unsettling. Trump's proposal includes introducing new technology that ties your biometric data directly to every item you carry. That's right. Facial scans, fingerprints, even voice patterns will be captured and permanently linked to your personal belongings. How would this work? Every time you go through security, your items would be scanned and digitally matched to your unique biological traits using artificial intelligence. And here's the kicker. This information wouldn't be erased after your flight. Instead, it would be stored indefinitely in federal databases, supposedly to help track objects during emergencies. The implications are huge. Your face and fingerprints will be permanently linked to items like laptops, cameras, and even books. If you lend something to a friend, it could trigger a security alert because the system would notice the mismatch. This tracking could even extend beyond the airport, following individuals based on the items they carry. How can you protect your privacy in this new reality? Whenever possible, opt for manual verification, even if it means longer lines. It limits the amount of biometric data being collected. Use RFID blocking covers for your passports and cards to prevent unauthorized scans. Most importantly, always keep your belongings under your direct control. Don't carry things for others, and never leave your devices unattended. What sounds like a step forward in efficiency might actually be the first major step toward total traveler surveillance. Airports would no longer just be places of transit. They would become massive data collection hubs. The real agenda behind these changes. By now, you're probably seeing the bigger picture. These 5 changes aren't random reforms. They're part of a much larger strategy laid out in the National Air Reform Act, a legislative project designed to give extraordinary powers over air travel directly to the executive branch. What does this really mean? More money flowing into government and airlines through new taxes and penalties. Increased ideological control, forcing travelers to align with specific values just to fly. Expanded citizen surveillance, linking personal data to physical movements and belongings. The official excuse is always the same: national security. But underneath that reasoning, what's really happening is a deep redesign of the entire travel experience. One where control and transparency stop being technical requirements and start becoming political weapons. 6. The National Air Reform Act, presidential control over travel. At the heart of all these changes is the National Air Reform Act, a piece of legislation pushed directly by the Trump administration as it regains momentum on the political stage. This act would grant the president full authority over air transportation policies without needing immediate approval from Congress. What would this mean in practice? The president could change baggage rules, security procedures, and even surveillance measures without going through the normal legislative process. It would open the door to constant, unpredictable, and potentially arbitrary changes in the way commercial flights operate. And here's something interesting. Many analysts believe this proposal takes inspiration from immigration and transportation control policies used in countries like Israel and the United Arab Emirates. These countries are known for being extremely thorough, but also for having very little tolerance for individual freedoms in transit areas. Why is this worrisome? Because this would legally build a system of institutionalized surveillance where anything you carry, say, or even represent could be used against you as a traveler. Your carry-on would no longer just be a bag. It would become an extension of your personal profile. 7th, airlines as silent partners. You might be wondering, if all these changes make traveling harder for passengers, why aren't airlines standing up against them? The short answer is simple: because they profit from it, and they profit a lot. Here's how airlines stand to benefit. Massive revenue from extra baggage weight fees. The removal of foreign-made devices from flights, which indirectly boosts partnerships with local brands. New, lucrative contract for biometric scanners, tracking software and data management systems. And it doesn't stop there. By shifting so many processes to automated systems under the excuse of government compliance, airlines would also be able to cut back on human staff. That means fewer customer service agents and security personnel, and more machines taking over. In short, fewer expenses, more income, and full government backing. 8th, the role of tech and defense companies. There's another major player behind the scenes that official statements rarely mention: the big tech and defense contractors. These companies have been heavily involved in pushing for these changes. Because guess what? They stand to make billions. Who's behind the scenes? Giant technology firms and defense industry leaders that specialize in real-time facial recognition platforms, predictive behavior analysis based on travel patterns, database management for millions of passenger profiles. And these companies aren't just sitting back. They're actively lobbying for the National Air Reform Act because every new scanner installed, every piece of data collected, represents a massive long-term government contract. 9th, the international ripple effect. While these changes are designed mainly for flights within the United States, their impact is already spreading across the globe. For instance, some airports in Europe have started requiring travelers to verify where their devices were manufactured. In parts of Asia and Latin America, pilot programs are underway for biometric linking of passengers heading to the United States. And this is just the beginning. These new security demands could spark serious diplomatic tensions, especially with countries that view them as discriminatory or overly invasive. The result? We could see a growing divide in the international flight network, where airports and airlines are forced to choose between cooperating with the U.S. system or protecting their citizens' privacy and rights. A fragmented sky could become the new normal. 10th, what you can do as a conscious traveler. Everything we've talked about so far sounds overwhelming, but don't worry, you're not powerless. In fact, the more informed you are, the better you can protect yourself. Here are some final, crucial tips. Stay informed. Follow independent media outlets and traveler advocacy groups who are tracking updates on the National Air Reform Act. Travel smart and light. The less you carry, the fewer opportunities there are for issues. Choose versatile, durable items and double-check your devices. Connect with fellow travelers. Online communities are already forming to share legal resources, travel alternatives, and privacy strategies. Support transparency. Write to your representatives. Transportation policy is also a citizen rights issue. Remember, what started as just a few changes to carry-on rules is actually part of a much bigger transformation of commercial air travel in the name of security. But this isn't just about luggage. It's about a deeper fight between freedom and control, between efficiency and privacy, between surveillance and the right to remain anonymous. Now you have the knowledge, and that puts you several steps ahead of most passengers. If you found this information helpful, share it with friends. Leave a comment telling us which rule worries you the most, and subscribe so you don't miss future updates about this and other ongoing reforms.